Let's go, y'all. Come on. Team No Sleep in the building. February, Black History Month. Huh? Montel Allen, talk to us,
Yes,
man. You
sir.
doing all right?
Oh man, I'm blessed, man. Just want to send a shout out and a prayer to everybody that's going through these flood things in California.
Yes, I'm one
Uh,
of them. I'm
definitely,
one of them.
definitely, shout out to them, man, for everybody to be safe and they get the necessary help they can get. Um, otherwise, man, I'm good. I'm good. All I do is count my blessings every day.
That's true. You can't complain because if you complain, nobody's listening anyway, right? I know we all active, we all busy, and we doing what we can. But listen, we're gonna have a good show tonight. We got someone sitting in the back room looking studious, looking like he know what he gonna talk about. So I tell you what, I'm gonna let you do the introduction, but let me say what's going on to the folks here. Mr. Cox is in the building. Good to see you, sir. Seniors here. So yeah, we officially are underway. Chief is in the building. Where you been, man? Chief, where you been? Listen, we doing the thing. We going on the road. We told you, Chief. Team No Sleep was going on the road, and the first one we doing it big. We going to the Super Bowl. You know that. Let's make sure that we connect. And Mr. Cox, stay safe, man. I lost power this morning. I lost my pool. Doesn't look right. I got furniture, trees. I think we ain't gonna get into all that. But Montel, who we got? Who we got sitting waiting for to come on the
Yeah,
show?
for our guest tonight, man, is a very good brother. I've known him for several years now. He's a coach at the high school level. He's been involved in youth football. He's been involved in the 7-on-7 circuit since it first started. He's a guy that helps kids get recruited, get educates them on the process. He's done it all, and he's doing all this in the city of Compton in LA, where we already know that inner city they need leaders and stuff like him. So I wanted to bring him on and get his perspective. I want to give a big shout out to Coach Glenn Gates and thank him for coming on.
Yes, sir. Coach Gates, come on now. How
Big,
you
big,
doing?
big,
Say something, man. He bringing you on like Steve
uh,
Harvey, brother.
man, I appreciate you guys having me, man. Like I said, known Montel for quite a long time. I'm just doing my part, man, as a just a messenger of God and Christ. Just really thankful to be in a position to be able to help the individuals that I'm able to help, and guys like yourselves is also part of the plan. So I just want to appreciate you both
Love it,
for
love it.
having me.
I tell you, let's get into some discussion in terms of who you are, what it is that you do, man. If you don't mind, so coaching. I know we know Montel is big in football. You also, and I don't want to make assumptions for the audience as well. Coaching football at the Pop Warner level, at the college level, at what level have you been at least involved in sports? Would be a good way to start.
Yeah, so I've never coached Pop Warner. Thank
See,
God.
I went all the way back, didn't I? See, I went all the way back
Yeah,
to when.
I got much respect for them coaches, man. I just don't got the patience for it. But I've coached a couple years at JUCO, and I've been coaching about 20 years at the high school level. I've moved all the way up from coaching position coach, and I've been a head coach for the last 5 years. So I've been really blessed to be in a position to be a leader for our youth and try to advocate them and direct them to the right path, and hopefully to get them opportunities further in their lives.
Love it. Love it. Appreciate that. Folks, if you got any questions as y'all know, for me or Montel, put a Q in front of it, or even for Coach Gates, because he gonna chime in and bring in some subject matter expertise.
Yeah, I'm going to dig a little bit deeper on the
Go, oh,
questions
see,
real
there
quick.
it is. I was waiting on something.
Nah,
Come on.
nah, Coach, could you talk a little bit about like the inner city, like what you're dealing with, like some of the obstacles you're dealing with some of these youth in the inner city, and how you're able to kind of help them kind of navigate through that whole path to get them, like you said, on the right path for first, and then to that next level if they want to play athletics further on beyond high school.
Man, being a coach in the inner city is the biggest challenge is not the sport. A lot of it has nothing to do with sport. A lot of it has to do with the environment that these kids are that they grow up in, because there's a narrative that's spoken to them from when they are growing up, and they only understand struggle.
Mm,
They have been in struggle and they only understand that. So when you show them a little bit of easy life, it's hard for them to believe that. For the past, 2 years, Montel, I think, 3 years, right? I brought
hmm
my team down to San Diego to play in his kickoff classic. And I mean, tell you, man, just those experiences from kids from Compton and Watts and the surrounding areas of Long Beach. I mean, it's eye opening. You have no idea of how well the kids receive this. Well, let's talk about the back end of it. The administration in the inner city is like, you making us work? How come you doing this? Why we got to send the kids all the way out to San Diego? Can't you do something locally?
Mm-hmm.
It's a fight just to do something for them. Let's go to the family. Well, I can't make it. Well, he can't go. You know what I'm saying? And well, he can't play football. It's when the kids land there, you actually feel the relief for the kids because the back end is so hectic. And and a lot of kids, because they feel the strain of it, they can't even receive the blessing. You know what I'm saying? And the kids that do receive the blessing, those are the kids we try to love up on the most because those are the kids that actually want to see it all the way through. But I had my first year at Centennial. I was there in 2000 and right after COVID, so it was 21 season. I think we had a total of maybe 30 kids in our program. You know what I'm saying? And we brought those kids down there. We got our butts whipped, but we didn't even the kids didn't even care because we fed them. We sent them to San Diego State, had them walk around there, and then we took them to the restaurant. We put them in a chartered bus. That alone, they wasn't even worried about the game. You know what I'm saying? I think the second year we brought a little bit more kids. We brought a few more kids. I think we had about 40 to 45 kids in our program, and we took them down there. We had a little bit more better team that year, so they enjoyed it. And then this last year, I think I had about a total of 60 kids on our program, so we kept growing. And the problem is the 30 kids that I had, but I had about 50 to start. When we had 40, we had about 70 to start. Well, shoot, we had 60 last year. I had about 80. It's the ones that we missed that I struggle with the most because I know the backstory.
Right.
I know that the mom is not even at the home. They got the kid watching all the kids. You know what I'm saying? I know the one mom ain't even in the home. She's on the street. I know one mom got 3 jobs and dad ain't in the building. He can't even buy any cleats. So I'm calling Nike. I'm calling Adidas. Can you save us? It's these little bitty things that, hey, I got to buy food. I got to make sure these kids have food after school because they ain't ate since 8 o'clock in the morning. These are the little things that we do or we're talking about when we're not trying to save the kids, but just trying to give them when they come to our program, we try to create an environment for them that make them keep coming back. And that's why I really appreciate Montel allowing us to come to the event because it gives me an excuse for something to fight for them that's going to benefit them more than it's going to benefit anybody else that may be having a problem with it. So those are just those are the different things like that we did. I feel like are that we advocate for me and my staff to be able to identify the struggle. And I always tell people I'm at what is deemed to be the worst school on the worst block in the worst city. This is what the kids know. This is what the parents know, what the administration know. And I'm trying to cut through that and allow kids to peek out so they can see what it's like in order to be able to be successful. And I can say over the past 3 years, we've gotten 9 kids that are actively playing college football or in college from that school, which is the most they've had in the past, 10, 15 years.
What's crazy about that is that you didn't say anything about football. You didn't say anything about practice, right? You didn't say anything about lining up X's and O's. You said everything about really just being humble and being out there and being attentive and being in the lives of those young men. Right, being someone that where they can leave the house and they can leave all the stress and strife, whatever is going on in their world, and actually come and have some fellowship, have some other colleagues, have some older men that they can hang out with, and they can learn something from. You said nothing about plays just now, which is very interesting. And I don't like to assume stuff, so I wanted to bring that out, and I didn't want to just gloss over that. And even some of the folks in the comments are saying, "Listen, amazing story here, so true." the experience and the immersion in different situations is so life changing, and this is an entire different level. So I just wanted to pass that on and say that I didn't want to just gloss over that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when we actually got to practice, man, that was like we made it. It was like we made it to practice. You know what I'm saying? When
Yeah.
we got to finish the game, the wins and losses for me, that was like I mean, game days were hectic. Every game was hectic. It was like I'm trying to pull a kid from his parent. I'm trying to convince an administrator to let the kid play, give us an opportunity to allow the kid to make up the grade, or let me handle. There was so much. This is so much. So I don't want to keep going over, but you know, there is a lot of help that needs to be had in the inner city that a lot of people don't identify with. When you're looking at the Boscos in the modern day, you're seeing like the best of the best. No one really wants to see what the bottom looks like. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to take a look at that. They don't want to identify. And, and I'm just one coach, you know what I'm saying? I'm not at the bottom, but there's a lot of other coaches that's going through more of a bit of struggle. And I tip my cap off to those guys that stay in it. Because it's tough, man. It's really hard to stay in that stuff.
I think that's interesting what you just said. I mean, people don't want to see the ugly side. And the ugly side is, poor funding in those schools. The surrounding areas have, a large crime incest area or poverty-stricken areas that are there that these kids just have to navigate just to get to school, much less play anything or play sports. Dealing with the psyche of dealing in a single-family parent household and seeing mom and them struggle financially, just trying to overcome and trying to figure out something to eat. I like the way you framed it. You said that's the ugly side, and no one ever wants to shine light on that. They don't. Like you said, they only want to shine light on the powerhouse schools or the top 5 athletes. But I commend you, and I'm glad we brought you to the show to give you your roses, because I think people like you and coaches that are like you in that similar situation are true coaches, because you're not only teaching X's and O's, you're teaching life lessons. You're teaching them how to navigate a little bit better in their daily life outside of all the madness that's going on. So I think you guys and coaches such as yourself deserve a lot of roses, more so than the guys that are at Bosco. It's easy to teach when you got 11, 12, 15 Division I players. Their athletic prowess is going to take them over the top. It's very hard to navigate with kids that less athletic and got so many obstacles in life to just deal with, just to make it up and wake up the next day. So I commend you, my man, on that, definitely.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Totally do.
I want to pull the kimono up just a little bit more, right? Because again, so Montel and I, I'm not sure, Coach, if you've checked out the show before, but we get into kind of that social impact, the ugly side that doesn't always make the front cover of an ESPN or Sports Center or whatever the case may be, and have those deeper conversations. And you can see the comments that are coming in. Folks are wanting to get deeper into those conversations. That struggle of when you get someone there, and the fact that you said you win by just getting through a game. Right. So we've had a lot of conversations here, unfortunately, about gun violence and violence with parents and coaches at various sporting events, and how that's impacted the psyche, especially of the youth. Like when you see a dad fighting either a player or a coach, and how does that affect someone? I mean, you got to have your head on the swivel, I'm sure, just trying to manage through those external aspects of a game. You got to check the ref and the ump. I mean, you got to watch all these aspects. Talk a little bit more about, and you don't have to be specific about anybody's name or anything like that. But again, how do you get through that? So right again, because you have to manage that whole aspect of the game. But how do you yourself get through those types of things?
Man, let me tell you, man. Before I got the job, I was called to be there. And I'm fortunate because it was an opportunity that arose, and it was not my first or second or third option to be a part of that program, because we already know what it up to. I think I contacted you, Montel. I'm not quite sure, but I think I did contact you, a couple of other my mentors, and said, hey, I got this opportunity that may arise, and a lot of people did mention that they did want to see me doing it. But the most important part is you really have to have a plan. You know what I'm saying? You got to have a plan. And I had a plan, and my plan had nothing to do with wins and losses. It was getting into there and finding a way to get to know these kids and finding out where the love needs to land. And, you know, going out to the big corporations, I went out and I had relationships with Gatorade to make sure that there was always something to eat on campus. We always had granola bars and protein shakes available for food. And the most important thing that I did when I first got there is I sent a letter to the administration and I asked for their help. And I sent a letter to the parents and I asked for their help. And let me tell you, I think my years there, we had the biggest parent support, and I had every support from the administration on our side. And that was one of the two things that are the most important things for me in order for me to feel secure. At the other point, no one talks about the coach. When I showed up to school, I wanted to know two things. I showed up, the administration had my back for the little things that I needed to be done, even though we know that they're big. And then number two, I wanted to make sure that Jimmy, Todd, and Tyrone had a parent in the stands that they could look up to on game day, that they knew that they would be there. And that was my two goals. Everything else was icing on the cake. And I felt like those are the two things that I mastered. And I felt like even though the administrators had a vision that did not coincide with mine, we both had a vision to want to see the kids do well. That's for sure. And for the parents, the biggest thing for them is, do you love your child?
Oh my
That was the biggest thing. And if I knew that they loved their kid, I knew I had them. And so when you talk about, there's a lot of things that we did get a chance to do, and I'm not going to go over that, but the smallest things that you think aren't the smallest, we made sure if Bosco did it, we did it. We didn't do it at the magnitude, but if Bosco had a beach day, we had a beach day. If Bosco had a 2-day fall camp at the school, we had a 2-day fall camp at the school. Hey, if Bosco went out of town and played somebody, hey, we're going to San Diego. We're going out of town and play somebody. I try to keep it as close as possible so they can see you're just like them. Yep. And I feel like in that perspective, not only myself, the parents, the administrators, my coaches, the community, they're like, hey, we're not winning. But the kids, when you talk to the kids per man, they were even enlightened and amazed on the things that we got a chance to do. Hey, we was out in the community service in Inglewood, in Watts. I had kids all the way in Gardena doing community service in other people's hoods. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's how far we reached so that we can give a perspective that our kids are not from Compton. They just live there. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And to be able to experience those things. And when we were in Compton, we took care of Compton. You know, there's two other schools in Compton, Dominguez and Compton High. And they weren't in the community as much as we were. You know what I'm saying? They were as much. When we used to have our off-season camp, on every Saturday night, we had about 50 kids. And let me tell you something. We had kids coming from Ventura. We had kids coming from Huntington Beach. We had kids coming from Ontario. We had kids training on the Centennial campus at night in the hood. We had white kids, black kids, Hispanic kids, all working at getting work. Yeah. 50 on a Saturday night coming to Compton. And I remember one time there was some gunshots and I was like, oh, we ain't gonna have nobody here no more. but it was never about that. They were safe on the campus, but the whole premise of it was I also showed our players that you can actually interact with other races. It's not just about us. So just you know, like I said, my perspective was to show these kids love in a different way. So they can say, and they could be able to say, I did that. So they can be in college and speak to other classmates to say, oh no, we did that. Oh yeah, we wore that. We had gear, just like we didn't have the Nike or Adidas, but our kids had hoodies, sweats. They had just as much as everybody else. I worked my butt off to make sure they did not feel like that they were from Compton. They didn't.
Wow.
They felt like they were football players.
Don't
You
let
know,
that environment dictate your outcome or your perspective. I love that right there, man.
Yeah.
absolutely. I think you glossed over, man, and you almost it's sticking with me like it's sticking with me. You provided something that everyone takes for granted: food,
Mm.
food. And you know, my kickoff classic is all about feeding the community. That's my whole premise of my kickoff classic, about feeding the community. Every team and every spectator has to bring a canned good in order to participate in the kickoff classic, which we have a bunch of people. And Glenn, you participated in three of them. So you telling me that you're just providing food for these kids, man? Like that strikes a hard chord with me. That's something that we all take for granted for our kids. We think our kids go to high school, they go to school, they're gonna eat, right? They're gonna have a meal today, they're gonna eat in the morning, or eat sometime during the day, and that's not even provided, man. And that's, to me, that's something that's sad in our community. That's something that is, because we're so wasteful as a community. There's so much, we have abundance, and the rich just have more, and everybody else has some, and no one's willing to give down. And I think that's one of the number one problems we have when we go down the inner city schools, and we go down to the ones, like you said, so-called the bottoms, or the ones that are not as affluent as the other ones, is we can't even provide the basic necessity of food to feed a child a day. And
Mm.
that kind of pisses me off. But man, I'm like, just like you just saying that, man. I really, I admire that. I really do. I really do admire
Yeah.
that, man, because I think that's
Yeah.
something that's very overlooked.
Yeah, as a trainer, you know what I'm saying? I train kids on a regular basis as well. I identify, I was a psych major that identified that, being hungry is an emotion that kids at times do not know how to manage. And the first thing that I did is I didn't treat anybody on that team or in the community like that we were at the bottom. I demanded when I first got there, every parent, we had 30 kids. So I knew if I can get each parent to give granola bar, a thing of water, some fruit snacks, and a box of chips, I could feed each kid every day after practice. And that's what we did for 3 years. Parents they would buy. Every kid was responsible for buying whatever that was, freshmen, sophomores, seniors, and juniors. They would bring their portion of food, and then after practice, we just feed it to them. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
When we had during after weight room, the Gatorade product was in the weight room. Right now in the weight room, they have a Centennial High School. We're sponsoring Centennial High School in the weight room. So our kids is able to see, oh, we sponsored by Gatorade. That was
Hmm.
something that enlightened them to want to lift more because they knew that they was going to get fed. Every Wednesday, I would make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for them immediately after school, and I would just hand it to them. Because I knew these kids didn't like the lunch. They didn't eat in the morning because their parents they can't afford it. And any given day when I was on campus, I gave food to the basketball players too. Anybody knew that we had food available for all that. Every Thursday night, we had Thursday night dinners, and every Friday, we had pregame meal. We fed them every day because I did not want an excuse to be that I wasn't hungry. That
Yeah.
just can't. I was trying to eliminate excuses from the parent, from the administrator, and from the kid. So on game day, we just got their best. You know what I'm saying? We knew we got
Everybody
their
was
best.
ready. Everybody was ready.
Yeah, we knew that. Now, if we weren't at better than the opponent, that's something totally different.
Yeah.
But we alleviated all the other things that may have made them struggle in the past. And I heard the community. I went before I got there. I just heard a lot of information. Kids academically, they don't handle it academically. And number two, our kids are not well nutrition. Two things that are super duper important by the parents. And I just wanted to make sure I eliminated those two things that were super
Mm.
duper important that had nothing to do with football.
Hmm.
Absolutely nothing to do with football. Had to do with the mindset of the kid and the physicality of the kid.
My goodness. My goodness. You saw I put that quote up there from Mr. Marvin Stark. He has kids that were deep in college, high honors, and so he's giving you already Coach of the Year award right there. He's gone through it, right? So he's seen it from his perspective, from
I
his daughter that
appreciate
was a
that, man.
track star. So
Like I said, I'm just a common coach, man. I think anybody in my position would be doing the same thing.
that's let me ask you this, man, and then because again, I want to be cognizant of the questions that are coming in from the community and wonder how you dealt with this. Kevin is asking about NIL, right? I mean, I know you're hearing about it because everyone's hearing about it
Yeah.
now. Everyone thinks they're a
hmm
professional athlete already. How does that affect did your athletes that you've dealt with, or even conversations that you may have with folks that are around you and in your community?
Well, I'm gonna say I'm at the bottom, so we we don't have those kids like that.
Mhm.
But I do train a lot of those kids, and what I would say right now, and Monte would know this, man, is really unfortunate where we're going with high school football right now. I just was talking to a parent maybe last week, and he's a quarterback, and he's insinuating what's the price. I'm
Wow.
like, huh?
Okay.
It's like, hey, this kid right here, they gave him, and I'm just not that dude. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, this is the avenue where, we're about to go into. And it's like the rich gets richer and the poor stay at the bottom. And it's the fight in the middle. The fight is in the middle, right? You either get one or you don't. If you don't, you know you're not going to win. If you do, you know you're going to put yourself in the front. And it's making the coaching game be obsolete. Guys don't have to coach anymore
Hmm.
because they're just trying to get the best players.
Come on.
You
Okay.
know, I'm really fortunate to be able to have a group, and I never had any kids transfer. I'm very fortunate in the last 3 years, and I've had some pretty good players, but it's relationship driven. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the home. I'm not just on the field. I'm going
Yeah.
into the home. I'm talking to the parent. And I think the relationships that are being built are superficial, which makes the kid not have to depend on or be loyal to the teams that they're a part of. Back when me and Montel played, I mean, when you was on that team, you was there, and you built those relationships. And I think that we're moving so far away, football wise, from the things that made kids love to do it, or what made me love to do it, and it almost is the reason why there's so many more kids quitting now than there was before, because every kid is looking for that next best. They're not looking for the development. They're just
Got you.
looking for the next best. I can be a kid that's not even good. I just want to wear the jersey of Bosco to say I went there. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Bosco has 200 freshmen, and by the person, I've talked to more than 15 coaches. I'm just going to wait till them kids to hit the sophomore year just to go recruit them because they know they're not staying. You know what I'm saying?
That's
They just
reality
go
right
there for
there.
that 1 year. They go for there for that 1 year to say I did it, and they don't end up there. And they coaches just wait for the overflow because they know they're not going to stay, and then they just start recruiting their kids. So it's the NIL at the high school level. I think it's ridiculous that we're monetizing off the youth and parents that are in the struggle. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? They're utilizing their kids to be able to benefit financially off of them. And at some point, I got to respect, but on the other end of it, it's kind of creating a perspective of the kid that I don't have to even listen to the coach. I don't got to go to practice because you're paying me anyway, so I don't got to do any of those things. So we're coming down a really really sad slope of wanting to really have a love for the game,
Hmm.
and now you're just making superstar. You're making all-star teams now, so it's a lot more difficult now for sure.
And of course,
Yeah.
everyone thinks they're D1. Everyone thinks that they should be
Oh Lord.
starting. Oh, well,
I,
okay.
I,
We don't have to get in now.
no. I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna agree with coach. I'm gonna agree with coach. But everything he said, but I want to add on to it. We're building the time of entitlement.
Hmm.
These kids feel they're
Yeah.
entitled to
Yeah.
everything, not work for it, not bust your butt and work for it. Because you can see it in every aspect of the game. You can see it in the weight room. Kids aren't getting in the weight room no more. They're not as strong as they used to be. You can see
Yep.
in the physics, everyone's just depending on their natural physical ability to get them over with. And the bad part about it is colleges have conceded to that. They've said, okay, we'll just take the kid and go. But I think that gray area is what you're talking about, is that development area. Like
Yeah.
the kids that want to be developed and bust their tail to be developed, we're losing that generation now, because now start to be very divisive with the NIL at the high school level, at the collegiate level. But this thing of entitlement is killing me. And this, I think, I'll lead into our next story about being National Signing Day. I think it's crazy that we have kids in California that offers the colleges, and they're talking about, I'm not going to take it, I'm waiting for something more. They want more than what they're getting. And this phrase, I'm going to bet on myself. I'm gonna go do this and do that. That doesn't work anymore with the transfer portal. Betting on yourself doesn't. You have to get in the game in order to be a part of it, to then bet on yourself as you're in the process of doing it. Not on the outside trying to get in. That doesn't work, and it infuriates me, because today's signing day. This is crazy. Today's signing day. We should be celebrating all these young athletes getting signed and starting their thing and going. I'm still shopping around class of 2024. I'm on the phone today, like literally texting coaches and everything. Hey, you need some more? Let me send you this guy. I'm still shopping 2024 kids just to try to get them in the game. And it's sad, man, because it's passing them up. They feel they're entitled to not take what they've already got. And once they get something, it's not good enough. If I have nothing and somebody gives me something, I don't care where it's at. If they're giving me a scholarship, I'm taking it. I'm running with it. That was me in high school. No one's been one. I only needed one. One gave it to me. I'm out. I'm going. These kids nowadays don't feel that way, because they feel they're entitled to get more. Just because you're the best player on a certain team doesn't mean you're the best athlete that they're going to recruit. But they feel they're entitled to that because I was the best player on the team. Oh, that doesn't matter. I had this many yards rushing, and I beat the guy that got a D1 scholarship last year in rushing. That doesn't mean that you're entitled to that. The game has moved on, and things have changed. Kids aren't appreciative of whatever. And to be honest with you, I don't even know if it's so much the kids, it's the parents and the outside influence that feel they also should be entitled. Which I mean by uncles, sideline quarterback coaches, some of their assistant coaches that are around, parents, friends, social media, all that influences them to say, oh, I'm entitled to this, when they're really not. And it's unfortunate, because we're leaving behind a generation. I'm not talking about a class, a generation of young men that are losing out on opportunities to get themselves educated. Period. So we're in the land of entitlement with the NIL.
It's a good conversation to have with today being signing day.
You were definitely right about that. Yeah. I am with you on I think the sad part is what you said is it's the generational thing. It's these just from my perspective, not talking about NIL, just talking about college. And me, Montel, we speak so much about this, and Montel has so much knowledge. My perspective is a great perspective, because every year that a kid sees a teammate go somewhere, it motivates the kid to want to go to place. That's the great thing about being where I'm at, right? So 3 years, 3 kids the first year. We had 4 last year. We're going to have about 3 or 4 go this year. And our kids, the conversation is, you can be the next. These are the things you got to do that, but you can be the next. Also, I got a kid that goes to, I got a kid that's a Division I guy. I have a Division II guy that I train, and just to conversate with their friends that don't put the work in that they put in, and their expectation to get what they got is the problem. Now, I don't know where that comes from. You know what I'm saying? But it can come from the parents. It can come from social media. But there's a perspective that I used to hang out with that dude. We used to work together. But as a coach, your work ethic is nothing like his work ethic. And your ability to do the things that he did is nothing like that. But there's a perspective that, well, shoot, I played alongside of him, that I should at least get a look.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or, hey, I played on the 7-on-7 team, and we went on a college tour, and I got coach's numbers. they interested in me now. I got a shot to be there. All these things influence. I believe the 7-on-7 circuit obviously is something that is hindering our kids, and the ability to pay to go to a college tour and have an incentive to meet a coach is a how can you say is a negative influence of that kid, especially when you know that kid don't deserve to go on that college tour. You're just taking the money. You know that kid shouldn't be on this college tour. You know he don't deserve it, but you want your numbers to be up to impress the coach, so your organization looks good, and this kid actually thinks because he plays on the top 7-on-7 team, he may not even be scoring no touchdowns, but he's a part of the championship photo. He goes on his college tour. He goes back to his high school team, and he don't even be the main dude. But at some point, he feels like because I'm a part of that group and I made the investment financially, I deserve, and the parents feel that this kid deserves something to be compensated because he did all these different things. We didn't even talk about weight room ethics. We didn't talk about work ethics. We didn't even talk about his ability to even play that position. You know what I'm saying? And they have this negative perspective, and negative perspective where they should be when we know the opportunities out here are so slim on the West Coast.
Yeah. What about the flip side of that coin? The parent who should be a plan for their kid to go on that college tour, but refuses to pay, but she'll go buy that young man Jordans and go buy that man new clothes and give him money to the prom and money to go to the movies and all that stuff. But instead of investing in there, because that's a two-way slope, man. Parents are hindering a lot of these kids' opportunities as well. Talk about that part.
Yeah, that prom thing just make me struggle. Man, parents is struggling with mortgage just to get their kid to go to prom. It's the craziest thing. And you you got kids in the inner city that are talented, academically they get it together. And the kid is like, I want to go there. Now the college tour is 2 months ahead of the prom, and he want to go, but the mom is like, no, we ain't got it. But as soon as that prom comes, you see all the pictures for 30 minutes of fame. And I've been to prom. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's like a bunch of kids sitting around eating and dancing. And I just never get it. And I like I said, I struggle with that because I'm having these conversations with these parents where at my school to say, hey, your son has a great opportunity to do something great. Hey, let's go to this school, because if he goes, he has a great opportunity to go to college. But again, I don't want to speak too much of where I'm at because I'm at the bottom of the barrel. These parents never went to college. Their parents never went to college.
So they grew up with different expectations. What right there? Wow. Okay, I'm sorry.
Exactly. And the expectation when I walked in with them is not their own expectations. You know why? Because you're making me have to do more work that I want to do. I got 3 other kids that I gotta manage, and this kid, if he wants everything I would hear, if he wants to do it, coach, if he wants to do it, that's in front of me. On the back end, she's saying, you ain't doing that. I ain't got time.
Boy, y'all listen. I hope y'all listening to this, right?
To me, and I've had this discussion before. To me, that is the biggest problem we've had so far. I don't understand. For 17 years, 364 days, 23 hours, and 59 minutes and 59 seconds, we are involved in every decision our kid makes. As soon as they hit 18 in the urban community, they make their own decisions.
Whatever they want. Yeah, I know. I don't understand it.
They are the most unprepared people to make those kind of decisions, especially when it comes to life-changing decisions. And I don't understand single-parent or two-parent household. How in the frick can you just say, all right, I'm going to throw you to the wolves, you make your own decisions, and then we wonder why we're not freaking compatible in the workforce no more, or why we don't have these things, or when my kid doesn't get an opportunity. That to me is freaking mind blowing because and I'm saying right now it's a cultural thing. And it's a cultural and social economic thing because I see in the middle class when I'm working around my white counterparts or my Asian counterparts, and they're heavily involved in their kids' decision when they turn 18 years old. They're heavily involved about their college decision. They're heavily involved. If they don't go to college, what's the next move they're going to do to guide them through those formative years of the age of 18 all the way to 22 to make sure they're
Yeah.
self-sufficient? Well, we freaking as a people just let them go. Make your own decision. How in the hell, how many people do we know? How many 18-years old we know going to make the right decision?
No, you're right. But also, I think, do you see what's happening? There's three males in this picture,
Mm.
right? And Montel makes a decision for his kids. I make my decision for my kids. I don't know you, but I'm quite sure you probably make decisions for. I don't let nobody else make decisions for my kids.
Right.
Kids don't get the opportunity, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but we have too many mom dads that
Talk about it.
are
Talk about it. Come
taking
on.
snatching the responsibility from the man to make that decision. I'm not even saying it if it's the dad, but it is the mentor that tried to step in. It is the coach that tried to step in to give the input to the mom to assist in that process. And it's the independent, I got this. And I just have to watch kids just crash and burn. It's such much more the saddest thing that I've ever seen to watch. Like I said, there's 7 to 8 that are in college, but there was 15 had an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? And the ones that missed is the parent that didn't do the paperwork. The kid that the offensive lineman that's 6'3", 270 that had 3 or 4 colleges. I think Montel, you're the one that got it. He had like 3 colleges on the kid, and the kid was like, the mom is like, it's whatever he wants. And the kid's like, I don't really know. I don't want to go. But what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to work. Where are you working at? Well, I'm about to go to Target and go apply.
Man,
What are
don't
we
even
in the
sound right coming
conversation?
out your mouth. Yeah, don't even sound
You
right.
know what I'm saying? It's like, what are we doing? I don't understand. And the parent is, she never went to college. Dad never went to college. So you're arguing with a brick wall with most of these parents because they don't have, like you said earlier, there's no expectation. And so if you don't give a kid an expectation and something to build on, and Montel, you talked about it, that gray area of development, that's in the home too. That's not
Right.
just on the football field. That is a
Yeah.
cognitive thing that they don't really identify with the development of the young boy of listening to learn to gain knowledge, and find wisdom on a regular basis. And we're missing that with our young kids because they don't have the influences around them. And if the influences are around them, they struggle in themselves, so they can't even be an influence for them in a positive way. So
My gosh. We like to touch on a lot of these controversial subjects, and we like to honestly have folks look themselves in the mirror and figure out, because I hate, and I know Montel hates as well. Every week we come in here and we talk about these same types of stories, especially where it's our youth, our black youth who are going through these situations they really don't need to be going through, right? And if they would, I ain't gonna say humble themselves, but if the parent was more active, if they had more mentors, they had more coaches, more administrators in school that did what you do, right? And so I'm glad we talked about giving you your flowers. I'm gonna let you talk about it, but again,
Yeah.
but these are the types of discussions that I don't think are happening enough. We always talk around them instead of talking
yeah,
about specifically like we are. We actually point in the mirror at each of us ourselves and saying, "What are you
yeah,
doing in
yeah.
your home, in your sphere of influence with that kid that's upstairs? How are you engaging with them and making them
Mhm.
the decisions for them? 16, 17, 18-year-old, no, they can't make that decision yet. 54-year-old father can make that decision, but you at 15, 16, 17-year-old, you're not ready for that. Go ahead, man.
Mhm.
Yeah. I have a hard time digesting a lot of it because it's a lot of laziness, like you said, and people not willing to speak to their kids or really want to be dismissive towards their kids based on their future on eternity team. Because I find it hard to believe because we have people, immigrants that come over here, illegal immigrants come over here, bring their kids. They can't speak any English. Their kids have enough of a fortitude to go to college. They
Mhm.
figure out a way to make sure they have an opportunity to go to college.
Hmm.
They have an opportunity to make a life better for themselves somehow. And maybe that's a drive to coming from this country. But it behooves me when we're in urban communities, when we have these opportunities here for us, especially amongst the Black community, Polynesian community, and Mexican community, so somewhat that we're not taking advantage of these opportunities that are giving to us that are just there. Target can't be your goal. It can't be your goal.
Come on.
That can't be your goal to be that. It can't be your goal to go work at the car wash. It can't be your goal to go work anywhere. Your goal should be, I want to own it. I got to get myself in a position to own it. I got to get myself in a position to have the education to be a part of it. And I don't know what that break in that conversation have. And now I do agree with you. I think we have a lot of self-hate amongst our community. They don't like to look in the mirror because they don't like what they see. They don't like what they've become. And since I'm not happy, I'm not going to make nobody else happy. I've come from an environment where I want best. I want my kids to all do better than me. All of them. Do far better than me. I want you to exceed me by far. And I think in those communities, we don't see that amongst parents. We don't see that drive amongst parents, like trying to figure it out. I'm sorry, Mom, I know you only got 7 hours of sleep, but unfortunately, you got to figure out it only takes 6 hours of sleep and get this hours worth of work done so we can fill out the application, so we can understand what's going on. And since we're in the informational age, man, everything is at our fingertips on our damn phone. So there's no excuse for us to be lazy not to learn about something. That's the part that pisses me off. We should know. And we don't, man. And we're consistently failing. Our numbers of black men, brown men going to college is drastically drowning. Especially in California, across the United States, we're drowning in enrollment in college. And maybe colleges isn't for everyone, but it's drowning in trade school either. So don't say that BS about, they can go to trade school. No, they're not doing that either. So we're going with a whole destitute of men of color that basically lead to nowhere once they turn 18. And that's removing from sports. Let's talk about. I'm talking about.
Yeah, see, we haven't even talked no plays. We haven't talked about none of that yet, right? We have. I'm gonna keep harping on that. I'm gonna keep harping on that piece right there.
I'm talking about our mindset, bro, is bad, and then they wonder why we commit crime. If you don't like what you see in the mirror, what makes you think I'm gonna like you?
Let that
what makes me
marinate
think
right there.
If I don't like myself, and I don't like you. The things I don't like, I get rid of, right? That's the mentality. If I don't like it, I get rid of it. That might even mean including the life. So I guess what I'm saying is, Glenn, since you're knee deep and you're in the trenches, where's that break, man? Like, do you have an answer to where that break is? I don't know where it happened, man. I really don't. I really struggle not understanding why parents are more involved after that 18-year-old marker or that 17-year-old marker when they're seniors in high school, and where that kid doesn't have the drive to do anything beyond that. Go ahead, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, I actually work in mental health, and the problem lies at the ages of 12 to 14. Now, I didn't know this until 4 years ago. I had my 7-on-7 team all out. We're out of Bakersfield and we're out of LA. And I only did high school, only did 15 to 18. We've been around for like 7 years, and I only did high school. There was this 1 year. Well, 3 years ago, we started at 14 and then we did a 12U. When I tell you, there were 4 occasions separately. I don't know if the parents talked to each other. Individually, the parent came to me, Coach, I'm having a problem with my 13-year-old. He won't listen. He's being combative. These are single parents, single mom. And I had to counsel that kid and that parent to get them to understand what the mom was saying and get the mom to understand what the boy was saying. I said, this is where the disconnect is. It's between 12 and 14 where kids have questions and parents don't have answers. There's not a man in the home. There's a void that's being created by the parent, and they're not being addressed during that time. And by the time they get to high school, it's addressed in a negative way or a positive way. At my school, it's addressed in a negative way. If you go to a different school, it can be addressed in a positive way. It just depends on the environment that you're in. And this is where the problem lies. I didn't know that was a gap. Once they get into high school, there's so many different groups that they're attached to, and they attach, and you cannot pull them away anymore because that's the group they're attached to. You hope they're in a good football program. You hope they're in a good basketball program. You're hoping they're good in a good baseball program, or they're in a club. You're just hoping.
Mm-hmm.
At Centennial, there's so many. It's infested all over the place. So if they're not a part of anything, they're knee deep in this investment. And I work at a placement where ages 5 years old to 14, kids that are beaten, kicked out of the house, homeless, they bring us to our facility, and we're pretty much monitoring them on a regular basis and trying to place them into a home. That's where I work at. So I'm with this all day. These kids are left for dead and need recovery. And there's a consistent void in their lives, and they don't believe that I or any of the staff is the person that's going to help them. So they want to be back at the house what they're so used to being, when we know it's not the best place, but they believe that's where they belong. That's where love is. So this intertwined with the youth, and this is why I'm such an advocate for youth sports, but I'm so disappointed in it, because we don't really put the right people involved with these youth sports. We just bring anybody there. These coaches are dads. These are unexperienced kids. These are, older gentlemen that are just trying to help out. And you're teaching these kids how to become the next player, and you're not really teaching them that. And so by the time they get to me, they ain't learned nothing.
Wow.
So I got to retrain them. I got to reteach them. I got to try to get them ready for college. This is what I tell kids. I tell a parent, your job as a parent is to deliver them to me, and it's my job to deliver them to college. That's my job. We don't have enough enough men in the community to say it's my job to deliver them to the high school. They're just trying to win football games at any cost. And they're tearing our youth up by the way they're approaching the development portion, what Montel talked about, because there's no development. It's just play. So now you get to the high school and you think it's play again. No, there's structure. There's work. You got to get into the weight room. You got to go to class. You got to be man. It's a lot, right?
It's a lot. Just hit the nail on the head. That's why so many. No. You're saying that just resonate why we have so many bounce backs when our kids go away to college and they come back. They cannot deal with the structure, especially if college football. College football.
And here's one of the reasons right here, because that development isn't fun, right? There's
absolutely.
Right? There's that work piece. So I wanted to put that up there.
But I think in a part of that development is learning how to work within the structure.
Mm-hmm.
Within the structure. And I've dealt with kids, me pipelining a bunch of kids, especially when, in Southwest Minnesota State, when my son was going, like we had a couple of kids that were there. Even the kids, we got a couple of your kids that went there. They have a struggle dealing with structure. And that means getting up in the morning, working out at 5 a.m. From there, going to study hall. Man, they miss so many, or they get so caught behind, or, sleeping, partying, staying up is more important, and not doing all those things factor in. They don't know how to. I think that's the part. They don't know how to deal with structure. They don't, and that's even a bigger problem, right? Because once you hit the age of 21, your life is structured, no matter what you do.
Yep.
I don't care if you a dope dealer. Life is structured. You got to get up, deliver, do your thing. And avoid everything has to be structured. No matter what you do in life, is a structure. And since we're getting these young people unequipped to be involved in structure, that's why we're losing a lot of them being incarcerated or getting in trouble.
Yeah, and just to piggyback
that's a good point that you hit, man. I never looked at it in that perspective, but I get it. I do get it now.
Yeah, I didn't know until I got there and I got a chance to see. And if I go back into the history and I ask the parents and the kids, it goes all the way further back. It's like there's no structure in the home. What time did the kid go to bed? Sometimes it's at 9, sometimes it's at 11. And it's like, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? They don't identify that going to sleep. Do you eat breakfast? Nah, sometimes my mom makes some, sometimes she doesn't. Do you eat lunch? No, not all the time. It's like there's never a direct answer. There's always a maybe or sometimes. So when it comes to like, hey, do this drill, I might do it. Hey, come to weight room. I got something to do. The biggest issue with most of our young men is managing their time in a structured program. It's not even about managing their time. It's inside of a structured program. Do the kids even come to school on time? You know what I'm saying? That's a
Let's start
structured
there.
program. You got
Yeah,
to be
let's
in
start
class.
there.
Well, if they're not coming to school on time, they're definitely not coming to practice on time. You know, you already
Right.
know that. And I'm gonna give you an example of what Montel mentioning. You know, we got a Jawan who played in your classic for 2 years. You know, it almost gets me emotional to be able to see that he made it to a university
Hmm.
because his mom is a single mom of 5 kids. Okay, and when I got to Centennial, he was a sophomore. And when I first got to Centennial, I had a plan. I'm gonna do 6 a.m. practices. Why? Because when I got there, they said none of these kids go to class. I said I'm not gonna let school be the reasoning for them to struggle. So we're gonna have 6 a.m. practices. They don't have no football after school. They'll have all opportunity to do all their homework. I made sure we're gonna make sure everything's out. I told everybody, and we would have these 6 a.m. practices, and it was a struggle getting them out there. Obviously, we knew that. I knew it
Yeah.
was going to be a struggle year one, but the plan in place is create a structure. You know, that year we had 0 grade cuts after 19 the year before. Okay. Now, was there a struggle on the field? Absolutely. We already knew that, but I had to sacrifice something to get something. This very next year, this kid, Jawan, was a struggle. He never wanted to show practice on time. And his grades struggle. It was a fight for the 3 years I was there just to get him to be a part of the structure. Do you know he has a 3.4 at Southwest Minnesota State?
Come on.
A 3.4. He could not figure out the structure and got structured. Now, it's not my responsibility. I'm just a seed planter. And it's upon him to water that seed and make it grow. And I'm so proud of him for him to see this through because him being up there, coming from Compton, he doesn't identify the impact he's making on his 4 brothers and sisters. He has no idea. When I told him last time on the phone, he started crying. He didn't understand it. But those are the stories that, no one's really going to talk about. But the goal, that's the goal.
Yeah.
The structure, I'm fighting with him every day to get the practice. I'm beating it in him. I'm calling the mom. Mom, can you even drop him off? She's not helping. And it's a struggle for me. But I had to send him up there. She couldn't pay for that ticket. You know what I'm saying? We had to buy the stuff to get him. She couldn't afford that. But once he got there, he went there in the summertime and ain't been back since. These are the great stories, what we know of a kid that struggled in the structure. And what made me feel good is that the structure works.
Yeah.
The structure works. And people are afraid of not the outcome, they're afraid of going through the struggle with them though. Because hey, there's a lot of conversations. There's a lot of bad relationships. You think you're building a bad relationships, but you got to go. I told the kid, I'm gonna kick your ass out the team if I see you late one more. And was he late again? No, but he kept coming back. I kicked him off the team. He came back.
Put me in, coach.
Yeah, but he fought tooth and nail with me day in and day out. But it doesn't matter. But he's there now, and that's like the biggest. The great opportunity, the great achievements that he's making for his own life. That somebody like me had the opportunity to pour that into him. Now, can we find more men willing to do that? I just really hope so, because these are the kids that need it. You know what I'm saying? These are the things that are needed. These are the not just my school. Like I said, there's a lot of other stories, and I'm just talking about that one. But these are the things that we're talking about, right? Creating a structured, not just a program, but an environment, and sacrificing something. I was talking to a kid the other day. Nothing in life is free. Someone sacrificed time or money in order for you to walk through somewhere without a level of freedom that is unmatched. And if someone is willing to make that sacrifice, someone's going to be able to benefit from it. And who's willing to do that? That's the thing. That's the guys that I'm looking for. Who else is willing to do that? Who's willing to put that sacrifice out there? Who's willing to go blow for blow with the problems that we may be facing? And who's willing to lay their head down, rest, and say, okay, another day we're going to do this again. Or another day we're going to do this again. Or another day we're going to do this again. And it's not until, we're not the people that are responsible for the glory. You know what I'm saying? For me, God gets that glory for me. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who gets it for everybody else, but I don't get the glory. I'm just doing my job in the purpose that I've been sent here. But the each and everyday process of building that type of mindset so that one of these young men or women have the opportunity to achieve those things that we got a chance to achieve. You know what I'm saying? Those things that we got a chance to experience. Those things are the ones that are glorious for me.
Let me ask you this, Coach, because I mean, you hitting on all cylinders, man, and the comments coming in hot, and folks are giving you the flowers as well. But I want to ask, I'm gonna flip it just a little bit. Yeah, we're talking about the kids, we're talking about the parents, and we're talking about the effort that you put into helping rear these kids. To be honest with you, that's what you're doing. How do you take care of yourself, though? Right, because you're expending a lot of energy to do this, right? Calling up folks, making them peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, right? Checking in on the grades and things like. And we touched on mental health, right? We touched on that aspect as well, and I would love to hear strategies or how you make sure that you yourself are in the right frame of mind as you go out there and do this work.
Oh man, that's a good question, man. I got to say this. Life for me is, it has no limits, right? There's not a time frame. And, before I, did all these things, like I said, I have a plan and I have to make decisions. And I have two daughters, you know what I'm saying? And I'd make sure that I spend that time with them and I give them, but you two know our job as men, there is no timeline. There's no time frame. There is no, we don't get the things that others get. There is just us doing.
Mm,
And any moment that I'm able to get that I have the opportunity to give to myself, I definitely take it. But I can't, it's never planned because of the role that I have. This is my purpose in life. I get phone calls at 12 o'clock at night. I get phone calls at 5 o'clock in the morning. And so be it for me to say, no, I'm busy. You know what I'm saying? So be it for me to say, I'm not available. So be it for me to say, I just don't have the time for you right now. That is not my lot in life. It's just not. And I was just telling somebody the other day, I think I haven't taken a vacation or a break since I've been at Centennial. That's why I had to step down so I could have a break
mm,
and be able to rejuvenate myself as a man to be able to give back to my family, right? Somebody else's kids, and to be able to have a mindset to be able to be refreshed and being able to do this on a regular basis. And absolutely, it's tough. I'm not gonna lie. It's a not a lonely life, but it's a lonely struggle because not everybody want to do it. When I
yeah.
first got the job, I had a lot of boys. Hey man, when you get your next head coaching job, let me know, man. I'm gonna be there for you. And when I said Centennial, well, listen, you know what I'm saying? Well, I'm not sure I'm ever want to coach over there. You know what I'm
I know what
saying? It
you
was
mean, man.
like, yeah, exactly. So I didn't have like the best staff, and it's like it is a lot. But when you talk about having that time, it's just really been having people that you can rely on. Anytime I'm struggling, I've called Montel several times about my struggle. Man. He's helped me out a lot. I pick up the phone if I need, somebody to talk to. A lot of times it's just a really alone time with myself and just being able to rejuvenate. But no, I have not in the last few years just had the opportunity to just, you know, relax
Yeah,
because there's so much work to do. You know what I'm saying? It's just so
yeah,
much work to do. And being when you see other men not doing it, it makes me have to pick my boots up and put them back on again.
You're a good dude.
You know what I'm saying?
You're a good dude,
When
man.
you, I
Woo.
know it's, and
Nah,
I'm
hey,
not trying to like gloat or anything like that, but it's tough. I can't, it's just one of those things, man, that I'm in my purpose right now. I'm in my purpose bag right now.
hey,
I'm
brother,
just
pull
doing what
pull
I'm
them
I got
supposed to
shoes
do.
up, brother.
I'm
Pull
supposed to
them
do.
shoes. I want to put this comment up one more time, and then Montel, if you want to
yeah.
close it out in these topics, then we go to another thing real quick. But I think what Kevin said right here, doing this work is also blowing up that balloon that carries you through life.
Mm,
Right. That's very
that's
woo,
very,
that right.
that's a
That's
good one.
poetry right there. Kevin Cox is in
That's
the
right.
building right
That's
there.
right, Kevin. That's
I,
right,
Doing the
Kevin. I
work
like
that you
that.
do
That's
is
tight.
blowing up the
you
balloon.
know,
Mm,
I think me and you both go through this, Glenn, which is to me is the appreciation, right? Like the lack of appreciation that happen with the work that you do, and also sometimes for the work, a lot of times for the work that I do, especially in this time where I tirelessly try to help kids get out and get out, but then there's no appreciation for what I do in the background sometimes, and there's no appreciation for even when they get the pot of gold. It's
mm,
the person that connected the dots is the afterthought, which is me. And before I didn't really care. Now I get more angry about it, and not angry to the point so I'm going to do anything. I just like, man, I can't believe this. I did all this work and I connected these dots, or I put this guy in coach with this thing, and the dude didn't acknowledge it. And I'll give you a case in point. I just got a kid. He was at the kickoff classic. Kid that played in the kickoff classic. I saw him play. I called the coach on my phone. During the game, I gave the kid the phone. I said, hey, this coach, I bragged, talk to this coach. Because he didn't have nothing. Talk to coach. Day one. So that's back in August. The kid just signed his letter of intent. He never acknowledged me once through the process.
Mm, I know. I know. I know.
Which to me, like I said, it's not even that I want, not that I desire, but it's like, man, why you don't I don't think kids count their blessings, what's going on. Like they don't really like, man, well, I didn't think to thank the person that connected the
mm,
dots
mm-hmm.
or the person that did it. And maybe I'm just in my feelings. So forgive me, y'all. Maybe I'm just in my feelings all the time. But I get tired of like, where's the appreciation for the people on the background? Because your coach didn't do it. Your coach didn't connect you with that. Your coach didn't do anything with that. Whoever else you wanted to think didn't have anything to do with it. But all those people have an opinion about if they should go or not go to that school. They contact that I put them in touch with. And then most of it's a negative opinion. Oh, wait for something bigger. Wait for something better. Do something. Oh, you can wait. Don't go there. Go here. Go do that instead. And I'm like, you have an opportunity to get an education to get some of it paid for by scholarship. This is where you should go. And like I said, from day one, right when I first saw the kid, I literally, this kid is playing in the game. I take the phone, come here, don't go on the next play, talk to the coach. Coach offers him. He gets an offer. Now
Oh,
he signed
wow.
with that school. How do you deal with the unappreciated? Because now I'm starting to struggle. Like, man, I cannot believe some of these kids don't even say thank you. You know what I mean? Like wow, you selfish little bastard. I can't believe you didn't say thank you. But
I'm gonna say.
how do
Well,
you
I'm gonna
deal
say
with it?
this. I'm gonna say this. Now, Montel, you already know. Montel's the hardest working man I know. And I tell him all the time how amazing I am in awe of the work that he do. You definitely motivate me to do the things that I do. You have no idea. I can't even express the gratitude and appreciation watching you help kids get to college, put the kickoff classic together, raising two amazing sons and still being a husband. I mean, it's amazing. I tell you this all the time how amazing that I am to watch you, and it's consistent since I've met you back. It had to be what 2010,
Yeah.
2011, 2000. I don't remember. It was back at the Nike camp, and to know that
Mhm.
since I've met you, the work that you've done has been, man, it's been amazing. I remember when you first started that All Star game, and I remember the years of you being there. I remember driving out there and watching it, not being a part of it. And I told you I'm gonna be a part of this thing one day. I promise you. And actually being a part of it and watching you grow, and you just been really, really consistent. I just really appreciate you, man. Again, I tell him that I tell Monto that a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because I really do appreciate you, man. You motivate me. You keep me doing what I'm doing so that I can give you kids to help get out. Because I send Montel kids all the time, and I say, "Hey, Montel, I need help," and Montel, he always comes through at some point. And it was anything that I could do. You know that I'm about the support. You know that I want to be a part. And I see you, man. I see you, and I see
Man,
that
this is
God
about you, man.
continues to
Not
bless.
me. It's
No,
about
no,
you.
man. I have to make sure. I know I tell you this all the time, but I need people to hear how amazing you are. As far as like the flowers that's given from me to you, man. I'm just really appreciative because you are a reason why I do the things that I do. Because while I'm coaching, I'm like, I need to get some kids from Montel to help get out because I know that makes you look really good in the eyes of these coaches, and I want to make sure I do my part. And those things, that is important for us to actually contribute to us. You helped me build my program by holding the kickoff classic and having it be the way it was. My principal was there every 3 years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was impacted by it every 3 years. So no, it is both and. So I definitely appreciate even when you get into this podcast, all these different things that the knowledge that you have, people need to hear it. And like guys like, I'm not putting myself there, but guys like you, people need to listen to because you have words of wisdom and knowledge that people need to hear for sure.
Thank you.
Take your
I
flowers,
appreciate
brother.
Take them flowers,
I
boy.
appreciate it.
Hey, man. Hey,
All right, man. Let's
man.
move on, man. Y'all get me emotional. Yeah, let's move.
He gonna cry in the car. No, hey, listen, that's what it's about though, right? Again, having these discussions and really getting down to it. And yeah, we do get these flowers when they need to. So coach, to you and Montelia, I mean, I tell them all the time as well, man, this is what we do and sparking these conversations. We had a handful of other topics, not even gonna mess around with them, right? We may save them. We were gonna talk about we talked a little bit about National Signing Day. We talked a little bit about that was it. we didn't even get to the Brett Favre stuff. But listen, let's end this because I want to be cognizant of time, and Coach, don't want to keep you too long. We got a game coming up. I guess somewhere. I think somebody's playing a football game in a couple of days in Las Vegas. These two gentlemen that are to your left or right, we gonna be there acting up. You got any predictions on the game? The biggest thing that I've seen outside of the game is the boom in the economy. You can say what you want about the young lady who sings and plays the guitar, but everywhere she goes, just like Trevor Noah said at the Grammys, that economy seems to change. And one, I'm looking at what's happening just in terms of what's going to go down because certain people are going to be there, and the tickets for this game. It don't make no sense. I'm gonna tell you what these tickets are. So while I pull up these tickets, what are your thoughts on this? You want to talk about cheap seats? Okay, let me tell you what the cheap seats are. Good Lord, have mercy. Cheapest seat for the game in the 400 section is $5,600. That's the cheapest seat right now.
Oh my God.
Listen to me. That's for one seat.
Boy, they're making sure them fans is that's crazy.
That's fighting words.
That's wild.
That's fighting words.
It does not.
Right,
Man.
And it's crazy to
That's
see.
crazy, and that place will be sold out.
Again, the buzz that's happening, not even about the Chiefs, not even about the Niners, not about anything else. It's the buzz that's happening with the influx of other folks coming because this young lady is somehow involved in the fandom of the game. I think moving that needle is just something that intrigues me because Montel knows I like stories behind what's going on, and that story right there is a very intriguing thing. What are your thoughts on this? And then we'll get a prediction from you on the game, and then we'll let you go to sleep, brother.
For me?
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah. Well, to be honest, I think the game itself, the Super Bowl, it's entertainment. So anything that sparks entertainment, the NFL is going to like. I think Taylor Swift being a part of it is something that they enjoy. Number one, of her stand or her fandom, and number two, what team her boyfriend plays on. So it all
Hmm.
works its way out. I actually feel like this stuff is scripted. So the way that it ends up is the way that it's supposed to end up, based on some of the outcomes that came about. Because my Packer team should have beat, that 49er team. If that kicker kicks that field goal, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, that
You
kicker
mad, bro?
definitely missed
You
that
still?
field goal on purpose. I'm like, come on, man, this is wild. It's the same thing like the Lions. They should have definitely not kicked that field goal instead of going for it on fourth. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I'm on a whole different platform. So I'm like, they knew who they wanted where to be. But as far as like, the entertainment part is the entertainment part, I'm not for none of that. I actually don't like none of that. I just want to watch the game. And it is, but us as aficionados of the sport, we know
Come on.
that this game is for us and it's for them. So for the thems, it's great to see her out there. For the us, I ain't got time for none of that stuff.
You
I
ain't got
really don't care less.
you gonna be
I don't
checking
care
out
less
Usher.
about
You got your Usher bingo card. Make sure he sing all the old school classics, right? Yeah.
it. I don't even watch the halftime show. I don't got time for none of that. I have
Okay.
not watched not one halftime show. But as far as the game itself, until I can figure out somebody that's going to beat Mahomes, man, I don't know. You got to guard Kelsey, and you got to beat Mahomes. If Lamar couldn't even beat him, what makes you think Purdy can beat him?
And Lamar threw the ball
You
to
know what I'm
himself.
saying? Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You
Lamar
know what I'm
threw
saying?
the ball to him. So, well, Madden is thinking that. So here's a prediction from Madden: 30-28. Okay. Yeah, no
I
predictions are
think it's going.
predictions.
I think it's going to be worse than that, man. If the last couple games, Purdy has not played well in the first couple quarters, and I just don't think you can do that with Patrick. You know what I'm saying? You got to come
Hmm.
out. Not if you look at the last playoff games, he has not played well in the beginning of the game. He's always come back at the end, and his defense is trying to help. But I just think this is going to be a different game, man. I think coming out the block, if they can guard Kelsey and they can get to Mahomes, they may have a shot. But the Ravens had the number one deep, and they took 5 plays to score. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? So you got to show me something different. And I don't think the 49er defense is like that. Not in the secondary, maybe up front, but not in the secondary. So
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know.
true.
Until somebody can beat Mahomes, man, I just don't see it. You know what I'm saying? I just don't see it. Don't get me wrong, the weapons on that other side with Debo and all them, but you know, doing jet sweeps and screen passes, I don't think it's gonna work on this game, man. You
That
have to
ain't
throw
gonna
the ball.
work.
You have to stand in that pocket. You have to stand in that pocket and throw that ball down the field against the Kansas City Chiefs, and I don't know how easy that's going to happen.
Montel, what you got? Who you think?
Oh, before we go in the game, so I'm gonna disagree. I'm gonna go with the Niners. I'm definitely going with the
Okay,
Niners, and the
go
reason why
ahead.
I'm gonna go with the Niners is because the reason I'm gonna go. I think Christian McCaffrey is on a different level. The dude's on a different level as far as controlling the clock, and I do believe the 49ers got enough weapons to go ahead on offense to score and score with the same pace as Kansas City. Now the difference is that I will give Kansas City this credit, not just their offense. Kansas City defense is very underrated. They
Mm.
got a dope ass defense and they're fast too.
Hmm.
But I do believe everybody can hit them for a quick. They're really susceptible to the run. If somebody can run on them, they've had a hard time struggling because the ball control stays on the team, and that helps. That doesn't allow Mahomes to get in his rhythm like he does. So I'm going with the 49ers. I think they got enough on defense with my man with the linebacker. The secondary is hard hitting. They got a good D lineman that's going to come after him. All the Chase Young and all those guys, and Bosa and all those guys. I think they got something, man. I think the Niners got something to get there. And if we're gonna script something, what better way to script to have Christian McCaffrey and block Purdy, Mr. Relevant, to win that Super Bowl? You know what I'm saying? If we're gonna go script it, that's the story, right? Mr. Relevant leads his team all the way to the Super Bowl. So I just think the Niners got something. But I'm gonna tell you right now, it won't surprise me if Kansas City wins. It won't, because Mahomes is just that damn good. I will give him that
I
credit,
mean,
but
I mean, you can't script Taylor Swift.
Hmm?
You can't script Taylor Swift and Kelsey. Come on now, that kiss at the end, you know know that.
But you don't have to know. Her fans are there. So it don't matter. I already got the money. They're already there, and I got the money. So whether they win or should they disappoint in the end, it don't matter. I already got the money. So I'm talking about the story that tells the narrative after it on and on and on. Kelsey and Swift is going to fade away eventually. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, wins the Super Bowl, and if he messes around and gets Super Bowl MVP,
Oh
that
my
changes the
goodness.
whole narrative.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy talk.
I just don't see that, man. I don't see him doing that well,
I
man.
don't know. We will see. I'll be
Hey,
brief.
Gates, we'll bet a soda on it. We'll bet a soda on it. Next time we
For
get
You
sure, we
always
definitely get the
Montel with these light bets, right? So I lost the bet on during the championship game, right? So I owe him breakfast when we get there. All he betting is sodas. Listen, I want someone to come
Okay.
wash the car, cut the grass, or something. He just want to bet. He just want a Coca-Cola.
Hey man, hey, I'm trying to
Okay.
make it light in the pocket, bro. And
Yeah,
two,
we need to
I don't
lighten
drink
the
alcohol,
pocket
so
because Vegas is gonna come out of the pocket already. So we're not gonna talk about that either. I'll be brief. I'll say I think San Francisco gonna do it just because of the weapons, but it's gonna be tough to go against if Kelsey get going. I don't like Mahomes because Mahomes is just too good. That's the only reason I
Yeah.
don't like him. And he just makes the game look like a mockery because he makes it look so easy. And I attribute that to him being a dual sport athlete. I
no,
attribute that to
baseball
his
got
baseball.
nothing to do with it, man.
Listen, let
We're
me
trying
throw
to bring
my
some baseball
baseball.
scenarios in it.
Let me put my baseball in there. No, always messing with me when I talk baseball. Listen, Coach Glenn Gates was in the building with us. Montel Allen brought in a man, and we talked about some stuff. Hopefully, somebody was touched, somebody was blessed with some information. And looking at the comments and I've been looking at some chat messages I've been seeing. Folks is resonating with this. So before Montel closes out, Coach, I just want to say thank you for coming in and being vulnerable, sharing some of your stories. You are welcome anytime to come back Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. Team No Sleep. This is what we do. Social impact of sports. So I want to give you publicly that invite to come back at any time and share any stories that you would like to talk about. So,
Mhm.
Montel.
No, I appreciate you guys having me, and whatever he needs, whatever Montel needs me to come on, man, I'm more than welcome to do that for sure.
Appreciate that.
Montel,
We'll
take us home, brother.
take us home, bro.
Yeah.
All right, man. First and foremost, man, everybody, reach out to a loved one. Reach out to a loved one, make sure they're okay, especially on the West Coast where we're going through these floods. Please check up on your loved ones. And like I always say, get comfortable having uncomfortable conversations because that's how we learn. We out.